You ever have one of those moments where you feel completely misunderstood? Like you and the person you're talking to are just speaking totally different languages? It's a feeling we all get. But imagine if that wasn't just a moment, but your constant reality. Well, today, we're diving into a really powerful new framework that's all about trying to translate those experiences and build a bridge of understanding. So let's just kick things off with a big question. We hear the term empathy deficit thrown around a lot, especially when we talk about autism. But what if we've been looking at it all wrong? What if the issue isn't a lack of empathy on one side, but more of a translation breakdown between two very different mental operating systems? For neurodivergent folks, this gap in communication isn't just an awkward conversation here and there. It can be a systemic, lifelong challenge that affects everything: school, work, relationships. And this is where a really important idea comes into play. It's called the double empathy problem. The term was coined by sociologist Damian Milton, and the key words here are double and mutual. This completely reframes the whole issue. See, it's not about one person failing to get the other. It's about a two-way breakdown that happens when people with fundamentally different ways of seeing the world, say an autistic person and a non-autistic person, try to connect. Both sides are struggling to cross that bridge. And this slide just lays out that paradigm shift so clearly. The old way of thinking put all the blame on the neurodivergent person, treating their way of being as a problem that needed to be fixed. But this new view, based on the double empathy problem, sees it as a dynamic. It's about what happens between people. It takes the pathology out of it and instead asks for a compassionate curiosity from everyone involved. It's a huge shift from blame to shared responsibility. So, if the problem is basically a translation error, what do we need? Well, we need a translator, right? Or even better, a way to actually learn the other language. We need a new grammar. And the source material for this explainer uses this brilliant analogy from social anthropologist Kate Fox. She wanted to figure out the unwritten rules, the grammar of English culture. So what if we could do that for neurodivergence? Not see it as a disorder, but as a distinct culture that has its own internal logic, its own set of rules. And that is exactly what the AUTIST framework is all about. It was developed by an autistic psychiatrist, and it offers that very grammar, that vocabulary, to help us understand the patterns of neurodivergent thought and behavior from the inside. So let's take a look at how it's built. All right, so the whole framework is built on 8 core concepts, or first principles. They're designed to be simple, easy to remember, and when you put them all together, they paint this really rich and nuanced picture of the neurodivergent experience. And here they are. They spell out the word autistic, which is a pretty powerful mnemonic, right? So we've got anxious, which makes sense in a world that can feel really unpredictable. Uneven, which points to that spiky skills profile, being amazing at some things and really struggling with others. Time blind. You know that feeling where 5 minutes and 50 minutes can feel exactly the same? That's it. Intelligent, but often in ways that standard tests don't measure, like seeing patterns nobody else does. Sensitive, not just emotionally, but to light, sound, everything. Thinking, a real preference for logic and systems. Intense, where feelings and interests are just dialed up to 11. And coherent, a way of thinking that builds the big picture from the details up. It's the unique mix of these traits that creates the patterns. Now, this is so important. Every single one of these principles can be a strength or a challenge. It all depends on the situation. Let's just take you for uneven. In one context, yeah, it's a challenge. Think of a brilliant coder who can get lost in complex problems for hours, but really struggles to switch gears for a meeting or even remember to eat lunch. But in another context, that same unevenness is a superpower. It allows for this intense, deep focus that leads to incredible, out-of-the-box solutions that other people would totally miss. So it's not about good or bad traits. It's about understanding the dynamic. Okay, so we've got this incredible framework, but so what? Why is this change in thinking so important? And what does it actually mean in the real world? Well, this number from the CDC really puts it all into perspective. An estimated 1 in 36 people in the US is autistic. This is not a niche issue. This is a huge part of our society. Creating a common language to understand each other is absolutely essential for millions and millions of people. And when we do that, the benefits are just massive. This kind of approach destigmatizes neurodivergence by treating it like a culture to understand, not a problem to fix.
It builds real respect, it gives neurodivergent individuals powerful tools to understand themselves and advocate for what they need, and at the end of the day, it helps us build workplaces, schools, and whole communities that actually work for everyone.
So as we wrap things up here, I want to go back to that first idea we talked about, the idea of translation, and what it really means to build a shared language. The AUTISTC framework is an amazing grammar for neurodivergence, but the main idea here really applies to every single one of us. Just think about it. How much could our workplaces, our families, our entire communities change for the better if we all just put in a little effort to learn the unique grammar of the people around us? It's not about making everyone speak the same language. It's about becoming multilingual in the ways we connect.